Whew. The last few weeks have been character building. Okay, I have learned that my words are very powerful. And so I used to say that September is a tough month for me. And I don't share my story often on what those things look like in September, but I'll share them. You know, in September of 2011, my baby sister, was found dead, and she was 19 years old. I was living in another city at the time. She had just had a baby, and it rocked my world. Fast forward, September was a month of extreme breakdown in my family dynamic, my co-parenting relationship with my girl's dad, and a month where I was told that the dreams that I had for living on the continent of Africa would not happen with my children. And those were really, really challenging times for me. And I internalized those challenges as what would happen in the month of September and would relive that trauma. I don't recommend it. I don't recommend it, because I started out the month of last September saying, oh, it's gonna be a rough month for me. And things did not go as planned. But in fact, they actually went exactly as planned, because out of my mouth, I said that it was going to be a rough month. And it was a rough month. But the moment I shifted that thinking, it turned around. So I'll talk about it. Welcome. My name is Ashley on my channel, Ashley in Africa. I talk about my experience living, moving, and doing business here on the continent of Africa. I share my experience of motherhood, love, and entrepreneurship. And if that sounds interesting to you, please be sure to subscribe to the channel. Like this video and comment below and let me know what you think, and share it with someone who you think would find value in it as well. I am, as I mentioned, here on the continent. I live in Tanzania, Dar es Salaam, Tanzania to be exact, building a business and preparing to move myself and my children to South Africa after being here for, this month would be 2 years, living in Tanzania for 2 years. And it's gone by so fast, y'all, but I digress. In this video, I want to talk about things just didn't go as planned, but the moment I shifted my thinking, they went even better than planned. Okay, so the first thing that happened this month, or last month, September, I separated from my dada wakwazi. My dada wakwazi, in Swahili, sister of the house, sister helper. She had been with us for almost 2 years, and we had to go our separate ways. I have learned since in that process that, socialism is real, classism is real in the country that I love so much of Tanzania, and wanting to create a new system, even in my own household, wasn't necessarily the best idea, right? I wanted to do things that felt comfortable for me. And to be quite honest, house help, house support is not something that we're used to in the US. Like, when I talk to a lot of my African brothers and sisters, they're like, really? Like, no, it's just not something that the average American can afford. I used to pay Maria to come clean my house every 2 weeks. And even that was a luxury that not many of my contemporaries or my peers were doing. Maybe like some, like a small percentage of women that I knew had somebody come maybe once a week, or one of my boss girlfriends, she had somebody come like every other day. And, but it just wasn't, it was a luxury for the wealthy, for the rich. And when you come to the continent and it's something that is very much ingrained in the culture, it can be a little intimidating. And so I didn't really know how to properly manage that relationship, how to set proper boundaries, how to communicate what was acceptable and what wasn't. And in that, I ended up probably dealing with a lot of things I shouldn't have dealt with. And I also just didn't do right, I think, even by her. Like, boundaries are for other people. They're for the prosperity of the relationship. They're not a punishment, right? And so what I learned from a beautiful person in my life was, he said, boundaries can feel like punishment or rejection if you do them too late. And so that's kind of what started to happen, and it just created chaos. And ultimately we had to separate. And yeah. But the flip side of that was, I have been saying, oh, I need to cook more. Oh, I need to, do more things. And look at God. He was like, okay. The creator was like, all right, that's what you said. Let's do it. And I love to cook, right? I cooked a lot before when I wasn't, when I was in the US. And really, I just was intimidated by like the fresh food, the fresh ingredients that are so abundant here, that it held me up. But I'd say in the last couple weeks, I've been cooking. I thought, oh, my baby's not eating vegetables because of the taste of the vegetables, but it was just the way they were being cooked. And since I've been cooking the vegetables, she's been tearing them up. They've been eating them up. So it's working, and it's really worked out in my favor. I've deepened my relationship with my home and taking care of my home. And listen, I keep a clean home regardless of if I have help or not. But it also required me to ask for help, to exert that feminine energy that I talk a lot about, and letting people know, hey, I'm in need of someone and I need help, and accepting and inviting in the willingness for others to help and support me. And that has been the game changer. Right? It has helped me. It has been healing to know that it is something that I can do, but also that other people are willing to do, because I attract loving people who love me and support me. And I love that for me. So things didn't go as planned, but they did work out in my highest good, right? The next thing was, I got sick. So I hired a new Dada Wakwazi, like the 2 days after we let go of the first one. And y'all, she cooked something with the tap water. When I tell you I was sick, I have never been that sick ever since I got here, or I think in life. So yes, that happened. And it was a rough few days after that. I'm talking about rough. Went to the doctor, got a checkup, because I wasn't sure exactly what the problem was. I thought it might be malaria. It wasn't. Doctor said everything was good, got blood work, did all of the testing, and I was perfectly healthy. So the plus side of that was I was healthy. I just had the tap water in the wrong way, and it rocked my stomach. But it also prompted me to do another cleanse, right? So I went back on a fruit cleanse, did that for a week. And by about 4 days, I felt better, So while I was down for those days, my body did find time to rest. I was able to empower my daughter, my youngest daughter, to, take on responsibility of, getting herself ready in the morning. And it worked out, it really did work out. It was not a fun lesson to learn, but it was one that I had to receive, I guess. The creator was like, you're gonna get this work, you're gonna get this lesson. But prompted me actually to start working back out again with my trainer, because I hadn't been doing that. And so yeah, I was on my fruit cleanse, doing my fruit, drinking more water, and working back out. So things didn't go as planned, but they worked out, in my highest good. And the last thing was, I was supposed to travel. I was supposed to go to South Africa. And because of the separation of my original Dada, I didn't have anyone to watch the children that I could trust. Well, that wasn't true. I didn't have anybody to watch the children in that timeline that I was preparing to travel, because I have established a beautiful family here and many people that I trust over the 2 years. But the timeline in which I was preparing to travel, I could not do it, because I couldn't actually put it on my friends or my family in the time that I was expecting to travel. So I had to delay that trip to South Africa. But the flip side of that is now I was able to reschedule my trip. My children are going to stay because they have like school trips planned during their break, their holiday. And I am taking the dream trip of my life to South Africa, to Cape Town, which is where I've always wanted to go. I never traveled there. It was like really my dream trip for, I don't know, the last 15 years with my dream person. So all things are working out in my favor, even when they don't necessarily go as planned. And so that was the lesson of September. And while I have been reminded that my words are so powerful, the tongue that I use is so powerful, the words that I speak and what I put out into the atmosphere is so powerful, I will no longer be saying that September is a tough month for me. September is a month of growth. All months are a month of growth. It may be a month of grief and it may be a time of grief, but it doesn't have to be a tough time. And those two things are extremely different. And looking back on that month and all of the shifts that happened over this last month, they all were working out in my highest good. And I'm reminded that things are happening for me, not to me. And it's a lesson that I hope you can take away from this video. So if you found this content valuable, please be sure to like it, share it with someone else who would find value in it, and subscribe to the channel, like the content, and leave me a comment below and let me know if you've ever had a moment where you got down on yourself, you got hard on yourself, and you were able to turn it around just with a shift, a paradigm shift in your thinking. And I just love that because it is really a choice. Happiness is a choice. Gratitude is a choice. And I'm so grateful that I get to live in that space today and was able to quickly remind myself of that beautiful space of gratitude and love. So until the next video, I'll see you soon.